great mind. How are you doing today? This is Victor from Future Setter Science Academy, where we are going to be grooming you on 4 things. We're going to be grooming you in the aspect of mathematics, grooming you in the aspect of physics, grooming you in the aspect of chemistry, and also biology, and definitely English. But the major focus we have for you is in the science aspect. So do well to stay with us. We're going to be talking to you. We're going to be discussing with you. We enable you to think more and understand more. That is the major focus of what we do here. So that is the major focus of what we do here. So today, I'm going to be introducing a very great topic to you, which is indices. Indices. So there are a lot of things you have to understand. That in mathematics, you have to know that there will always be X and there will always be what? Y. And if you don't know how to use X and Y well, there will be a very big challenge. So now we're going to start with indices. Indices, mathematics, indices. So that's our topic for today. Indices. Now, like I said, you need to have a knowledge of X and Y to do well. So there are so many things you need to understand. The first part is you have when X is raised to power 0, it means that the value is 1. So X raised to power 0 is equal to what? 1. The next thing is when X is raised to power 1, it is what? X. X raised to power 1 is X. Then we have X raised to power 2 is X times X. X raised to power 2 is X times X. X raised to power 3 is equal to X times X times X. So we have just brought out 4 things. X raised to power 0 is 1. So anything in the whole wide world raised to power 0 is what? 1. So X raised to power 1 is X. X raised to power 2 is X times X. X raised to power 3 is X times X times X. So if you can understand that, then we are good to go. So in indices, there are some rules you need to understand. There is the multiplication rule. There is the division rule. So with this multiplication and division, we'll be able to understand every step by step. So we have the multiplication rule. We have the multiplication rule. Multiplication rule. So under the multiplication rule, you will understand that if you multiply X by X, that is, they have to be what? Similar. If you multiply X by X, it will give you X raised to power 1 plus 1. So in this place, we are saying X times X will give you X raised to power 1 plus 1. Because this X here, X on its own, we wrote it here, X on its own is what? X raised to power what? 1. So X times X will give you what? X raised to power 1 plus 1. So in this multiplication rule, it says when you have multiplication, multiplication will give you what? Addition. So in this multiplication rule, it says when you have multiplication, what is it giving you? Addition. So you have to convert multiplication to addition. That is the meaning of multiplication rule. While under the division rule, which is the other rule, division rule, it says where you have division, it becomes subtraction. Where you have division, it becomes subtraction. So we have the multiplication rule, which is X times X. That will give us X raised to power 1 plus 1. Then you have division rule. So if we have X times X squared, maybe X squared divided by X, to be X raised to power 2 minus 1. So let's give that as an example. X raised to power 2 divided by X. This will give us X raised to power 2 minus 1. And what is X raised to power 2 minus 1? X raised to power 1. Because 2 minus 1 is 1. So it will give us X raised to power 1. But also, in mathematics, we cannot write x raised to power 1. We cannot write x raised to power 1. What are we going to write? X. X. So there are two different things. The first thing, we have the multiplication rule, we have the division rule, and under the multiplication rule, x times x is x raised to power 1 plus 1. Then under the division rule, we have x raised to power 2 divided by x. This gives us x raised to power 2 minus 1. And you know 2 minus 1 will give us what? 1. So it therefore means that anything raised to power 1 is that thing. That's the way I always tell them. In multiplication rule, you have multiplication turns to what? Addition. Then division rule, division turns to subtraction. Anything raised to power 0 is 1, and anything raised to power 1 is that thing. That is the major thing you have to understand. Let's go again. X raised to power 0 is 1. X raised to power 1 is x. X raised to power 1 is what? X. That means anything raised to power 1 is that thing. Then you have that multiplication rule states that when you have a multiplication, it becomes positive or addition. And when you have a division, it becomes subtraction. That is a major thing. So from here, we move on to some examples. Let's give some instances. Thank you. So continuing from where we stopped, I believe you now understand the multiplication rule, the division rule. Anytime when x is raised to power 0, it becomes 1. Anytime x is raised to power 1, it is x. And another thing is, when you have x raised to power half, x raised to power half, it means it is the square root of x. When you have x raised to power half, it means it is the square root of what? X. So that means if they give you root x, it is what? X raised to power what? Half. Then if you have x raised to power 1 over 3, it will give you the cube root. The cube root of what? X. So like I said, where you have x raised to power half, it is square root of x. Where you have x raised to power 1 over 3, it is what? The cube root of what? X. So now we have stated so many things. The first one, we have x raised to power 1 is what? X. X raised to power 0 is 1. We have that when x raised to power 1 or x times x will give us x raised to power 1 plus 1, which is x raised to power 2. So let's do that again. X raised to power 1 times x raised to power 1 is equal to x raised to power 1 plus 1, which is x raised to power 2. Now moving on, if we have x raised to power 2 times x raised to power 3, this will give us x raised to power 2 plus 3. Because this is what we are looking at. The powers. We are focusing our attention on the powers. So the power you see here is x raised to power 2. The power is what? 2. The power you see here, x raised to power 3. The power is what? 3. So that's x raised to power 2 plus 3, which is x raised to power 5. X raised to power 5. Then also we have another one. Let's say we have x raised to power 4 times x raised to power 5. This will give us x raised to power 4 plus 5, which is x raised to power 9. X raised to power 9. So now, this is an example. What about other situations where they ask you simplify? Let's have this example. Simplify. 1. 9 raised to power half times 9 raised to power half times 27 raised to power 1 over 3 over 4 raised to power half. I believe you've seen this question and you are surprised. How can this kind of question be solved? 9 raised to power half times 27 raised to power 1 over 3 divided by 4 raised to power half. Now, for this kind of question, it takes us back to what we have here. X raised to power half is equal to the square root of what? X. x raised to power half is equal to the square root of what? X. So if we can get the square root of x, that means it is x raised to power what? Half. So in a situation where we have 9 raised to power half, what will you do? 9 raised to power half will give you the square root of what? 9. And what is the square root of 9? 3. The square root of 9 is what? 3. Okay. Now, like I said, 9 raised to power half is the square root of what? 9. So what is 9 raised to power half? 3. The next part, 27 raised to power 1 over 3. You will come here and check. What is x raised to power 1 over 3? Cube root of what? X. So the cube root of 27, what are the 3 numbers we can multiply together to give us 27? So you will check. 2 times 2 times 2. Let's check this. 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is what? 8. Can this give us 27? No. But we'll check. Let's check 3. 3 times 3 times 3. What will it give us? 3 times 3 is 9. Then 9 times 3 is what? 27. So that means if we find the cube root of 27 to give us what? 3. We use 3. Then for this last part, the square root of 4, that's 4 raised to power half. The square root of 4 is what? 2. The square root of 4 is 2. So the answer we are going to multiply 3 times 3 is what? 9 over what? 2. But in mathematics, will you write 9 over 2? No. You will turn your improper fraction to mixed fraction. 2 into 9, 4. Remember what? 1 over 2. So the answer will give you 4 whole number, 1 over 2. That's the best way to simplify this question. I believe we still have another question which we can solve. We'll solve another question and see what we can get from here. Okay. For this part, which is solving questions, let's simplify the first question, which is solution. Let's try the first question, which is like this. Well, first of all, the advice I give to people is to try something out. Just try it out. Don't worry about the question. Just explore options and see what you can do with the little example, little expressions I already gave in the class. So, like I said, anything raised to power half indicates that it is a square root, right? So now, in this part, you will observe that this bracket is under a square root, and this one is a cube root. So let's work with this square root first. So let us find the square root of what is inside here, then find the cube root of what is inside here. So now we are going to find it. What is the square root of 64? That means 2 numbers. What are the 2 numbers we can multiply together to give us 64? 8 times 8. So it means that in this place, 8 is already a potential square root. Now, the next part is, what is the square root of r raised to power minus 6? R raised to power minus 6. What are the 2 numbers we can multiply together to give us r raised to power minus 6? So we have r raised to power minus 3 times r raised to power minus 3. R raised to power minus 3 times r raised to power minus 3 will give us r raised to power minus 6. Now, look at it. R raised to power minus 3 plus, this is minus 3. And this will give us r raised to power minus 3. Take note of this thing. Take note of this thing I'm going to tell you now. Very much important. Plus times plus is what? Plus. Plus times minus is minus. Minus times plus is what? Minus. Then minus times minus is plus. So if you can understand this part, then you are good to go. Take note of these steps again. Plus times plus is plus. Plus times minus is minus. Minus times plus is minus. And minus times minus is plus. So if you understand this, you are good to go. So that is why I said arrow raised to power minus 3. Remember, when you have multiplication in multiplication rule, multiplication turns to what? Positive. This is plus here. Then minus, this is minus 3 here, became minus 3. So that's why we have arrow raised to power minus 3. Plus times minus is what? Minus. To become minus 3. Are you seeing it? Arrow raised to power minus 3 minus 3. This is arrow raised to power minus 6. Because take note of this same important point. Take note of this same important point I'm going to give you now. Listen. Minus 1 minus 1 is what? Minus 2. Minus 1 minus 3 is what? Minus 4. Minus 1 plus 3 is 2. Minus 3 plus 1 is minus 2. Now, see the reason why I said so. See the reason why I said so. When you have a negative, and a positive, you will go and check. Where is the negative? Is it on the bigger number? If the negative is on the bigger number, the answer will be negative. Take note. When you have a negative and a positive, when the negative is on the bigger number, the answer will be negative. When the negative is on the smaller number, the answer will be positive. So when the negative is on the bigger number, the answer will be negative. When the negative is on the smaller number, the answer will be positive. So check here. Negative, negative. When you have two negative, the answer will be what? Negative. Negative, negative became what? Negative. But what will you do? You will add. When you have two minus sign, you add. But the answer will be what? Negative. So that's why we decided to add. Minus 1 is what? Minus 2. Minus 1 minus 3 is what? Minus 4. Minus 1 plus 3 is what? 2. Because there is a negative and there is a positive. So you make sure you understand that when you have a negative on the smaller number, the answer will be what? Positive. When you have a negative on the bigger number, the answer will be what? Negative. But you will subtract. So that's why in this case, we observe that arrow raised to power minus 6, the square root of arrow raised to power minus 6 is arrow raised to power what? Minus 3. Because these are the two numbers we can multiply together. So we can simplify this and come and say arrow raised to power minus 3. Then come here and bring out our cube root. This is our cube root. Now bring out the cube root and find the cube root. What are the three numbers we can multiply together to give us 8? It is 2 times 2 times 2. So it therefore means that it is 2 that can come out. 2 is the cube root, the number that can give us what? 8. Then the next part, what are the three numbers we can multiply together to give us arrow raised to power minus 3? It is arrow raised to power minus 1 times arrow raised to power minus 1 times arrow raised to power minus 1. Because if you multiply them together, it will give you arrow raised to power what? Minus 3. So this will give us 2 arrow raised to power minus 1. Then, another thing to take note of. Whenever you see minus 1, it means it is inverse. You can take it down. So it therefore means that in this place, it is also equal to 2 over arrow raised to power 1. Which is equal to 2 over what? Arrow. So in this place, where you are having 2 arrow raised to power minus 1, it can also change to become 2 over arrow raised to power 1 or 2 over arrow. You understand? So you can have 2 arrow raised to power minus 1 will now change to 2 over arrow raised to power 1, which is equal to 2 over arrow. So it can happen. It will change. And that's where this place now became different. This line you see here, it changed. It changed. That is point 1, question 1. Now question 2. Question 2. Let's try out question 2 together. Question 2 says 160 arrow square plus 71 arrow raised to power 4 plus square root of 100 raised to power 8. Let us check it out and see what we can get out of it. Okay, so the first part, we have to simplify step by step. So let's take this one first. So from here, let's work with what we have here. We'll observe that we'll write the bracket again, write the square root again. 160 arrow square plus 71 arrow raised to power 4 plus, what are the two numbers that we can multiply together to give us 100 arrow raised to power 8? So you know that 10 times 10 is 100. 10 times 10 is 100. That is 10 already. What is remaining? Arrow raised to power 8. If you multiply arrow raised to power 4 by arrow raised to power 4, to give us arrow raised to power 4 plus 4. Arrow raised to power 4 plus 4. And this will give us arrow raised to power what? 8. So this is arrow raised to power 4. Now, we are going to still simplify again. Write again, write your bracket, write your square root. 160 arrow square plus 71 arrow raised to power 4 plus 10 arrow raised to power 4. In normal algebra, when you see that the symbols are the same, you add them together. So you add them together. 71 plus 10 is what? 81. But since the symbols are the same, you write the same symbol. So if you write that, you will observe that there is still a square root here, right? So you will have to find the square root. Are you seeing this square root? There's a square root there. So now we are going to simplify. We have 160 arrow square plus 9, because 81, square root of 81 is what? 9. Square root of arrow raised to power 4, it is arrow square times arrow square, because arrow raised to power 2 plus 2 give us arrow raised to power what? 4. So this will give us arrow square. And this will give us equal to 169, because 160 plus 9 is 169 arrow square. And what will happen? What's the square root of 169 arrow square? It is 13 arrow. Because square root of 169 is 13. The square root of arrow square is what? Arrow. So that's why we have 13 arrow. 13 arrow. So we'll continue with the last question, which is, what is the product of 27 over 5, 3 raised to power minus 3, and 1 over 5 raised to power minus 1?